Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams to everybody. Hare Krishna, Haribol. So, 24th today, correct?
Yes.
24th of January today and 2024. So, Hare Krishna to everybody, and we'll have a short kirtan and then we'll go into our. And Sachi Didi can tell me if the sound is okay today. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Praja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Danandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Bol, Hari Bol. Oh Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Oh Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Ganhabika Giridhari, Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nityananda Rai Ki Jai, Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Surabhi Kunj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astotarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astotarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astotarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astotarasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gauri Kishodas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Vaishnav Sabhavoma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Gaudiya Varantaracharya Ki Jai, Jai Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai, Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamanand Prabhu Treya Ki Jai, Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai, Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai, Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gaura Parsada Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sika Holsi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Shri Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gaudrandvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Richadvip Janadvip Modandvip Rudradvip Atmaka Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Govardhan Dwadasa Varmatmika Brajamandal Ki Jai. Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamani Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jai Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Jai Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Jai Gopishwa Mahadev Ki Jai. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Ki Jai. Ketra Mandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vanashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Chari Dham Ki Jai. Chari Sampradaya Ki Jai. Chari Acharya Ki Jai. Akada Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Shri Devananda Gaudiya Mat Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gauda Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Surupe Dayata Surupe Prema Surupe Sahajabi Rupe Nijana Rupe Babrueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavaratino Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Rasam Swabhakti Shriyam Haripurata Sundaratu Tikatam Vasatipita Sadahritare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Yam Pravajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Taravo Benirustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadita Rangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Paradram Tato Mamarasti Katena Kapi Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. And first of all, offering millions and millions of Danvat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishna Om Asto Tarazarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nityalila Pravishna Om Asto Tarazarashi Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And unto our most munificent Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandanamane Gaura Shakti Swarapaya Rupanuga Varayate, and all the esteemed Rupanuga Guru Vargya and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha Kalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnave Namo Namaha. So we're continuing with our Jaiva Dharma reading, and we're up to the last 4 verses on page 831. Jaiva Pateshe Shura Bhakti Hoy Jaiva Dhamma Napadile Kabe Bhakti Noy. One who reads Jaiva with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shura Bhakti, but one who does not read Jaiva can never attain Bhakti. Amazing. Jaiva is the compilation of all the Shastras. It's described like if you take the whole ocean and contain it in a jar. So the whole ocean of Shastra can be contained in a single unit, because this Jaiva contains so many verses from the Bhagavatam, so many references to all the teachings of the Bhagavatam are contained in here. All the teachings of Chaitanya Charitamrita are contained. All of Shastra is contained within the Jaiva So if you don't read this Jaiva how can you attain Shuddha Bhakti? How is it possible? Really, he's collected everything like a encyclopedia, but in a beautiful, novel way, with interesting pastimes going all the way through, and in a very systematic way, going through Sambandha Gyan, 12 chapters very clearly. Now we're in the middle of Sambandha Gyan. What is Sambandha Gyan? The relationship between the Jiva, Krishna, and Maya. These three vastus were discussed in the first chapter. Only three vastus. And a vastu is an all-abiding object, something that is eternal. So the Jiva is eternal. The material nature is also eternal when it's acting. It's not eternal when Mahavishnu breathes the universe is back into his body again. It just becomes like in an embryotic state, so to speak. It's still there like Paramatma. Where is Paramatma when Mahavishnu breathes back into this world? There's a conception of it there, but it's not actually active. So Maya Devi is like that. And then Krishna himself, of course. So these are the three abiding. What is our relationship with Krishna? What is our relationship with the external energy? This is Sambandha Gyan. So this is what we've been going through up to chapter 12. And then after there is the Abhideya, 12 chapters for Abhideya, and then 14 chapters for Rasa Tattva. So everything, the A to Z of all spiritual life is contained in this one incredible book. So if someone doesn't read it, how can they attain bhakti? Rupanuga abhiman pate drita hoy, Jaiva dhamma miko kake, dharma hinakoi. Faithfully reading Jaiva Dhamma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Sri Rupa Goswami. One who is averse to reading Jaiva Dhamma is certainly devoid of religious principles. Yes, following Rupa Goswami, who is the most dear to Sri Radhika. This line has come from Sri Radhika. When there was a great darkness for 100 years after Baladev Vidyabhushan and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, before Bhaktivinoda Thakur came, there were many Vaishnavas, but there was no prominent acharya or preacher. So it was described like 100 years of darkness, and the Vaishnava cult, we can say, went into somewhat disrepute. There were many apasiddhantas manifested. But then Srimati Radhika, this is her line. So she, it's described, throws a beautiful, her play lotus that she carries in her hand into this world. And that play lotus manifests as Kamala Manjari. Lotus means Kamal. So Kamal Manjari is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then he picks up Gaura Shakti. He's the embodiment of the Gaura Shakti. That means Radhika, the embodiment. And then he's compiling, collecting this incredible granta. He actually wrote the whole book within 2 months because he was principally channeling this. This is an eternal granta. And it's not written by man, it's apurushaya. It's beyond man. So purush means man, so aparush, it's not from man. So this is what we're touching on. So one who doesn't connect with this, how can they connect with that place we want to connect with? Especially in the teachings of Rupa Goswami, who is Priya Sarupe, Daita Sarupe, Prema Sarupe, Sahajabi Rupe, Nijana Rupe, Prabhu Eka Rupe. He was the one that Mahaprabhu could explain all these truths to and knew that they would easily sit in his heart and he would easily manifest them in this world. Without Rupa Goswami, without Ujjvala Nilamani, without Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Dagda Madhav, Lalit Madhav, these books, there would be no potency in this line. So the potency, essence is coming from Sri Radhika through Rupa Goswami. So it's saying, surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga, a Rupanuga, following Rupa Goswami. Yava jivane jay pade jaiva dharma, bhakti man se jana brita jnana karma. One who faithfully reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of gyan and karma. Gyan and karma have their places when we're approaching the threshold of bhakti. Initially, we are performing karma in this world, and then karma mishra bhakti, and then nishkarma karma yoga, etc. And then gradually it's the yoga ladder that Bhaktivinoda Thakur has beautifully illustrated. And then from there we come to the Gyan section, and we're following the understanding of what is transcendental knowledge. And then from that Gyan, then we can come to Bhakti. So this is like the path. It's a single ladder which is so they have their. But if you just stick on one of those steps of the ladder, like karma yoga, for example, and many do, millions do, they sit in that place of just trying to perform karma to get their rewards from their activities, then that's really unfortunate if it's not progressing. And gyan also, if it's not progressing. So this is what it means here, that the futility of gyan and karma alone, that if gyan and karma are utilized to come to the platform of bhakti, then it's very like the Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 chapters are karma yoga, explaining nishkarma karma yoga, etc., all the precepts there. And then the bhakti chapters in the center, protected, and then the gyan section at the end. So it's a process, very simple. Krishna Ramala Seva Labi Senara Seva Sukhe Magnaraha Sada Krishna Para. Such a man, being fully devoted to Sri Sri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore, and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service. Yes, being fully devoted will take a lifetime or 2 or 3 or 4 to really genuinely, with every breath we take, we're anxious to be pleasing our Guru Vargya, particularly our individual Guru who's connected to the Guru Vargya. So that is our process. And then through Guru, all the understandings of Radha and Krishna's pastimes and their relationship with each other, the astonishing love that Radha and Krishna have for each other. When we read this book, Vidagdha Madhav, it really manifests that. Radha is so much filled with this attraction to Krishna, and to such a degree that she sees Krishna on the slopes of Govardhan, and she becomes completely enamored by him. But then she hears the sound of this flute, and she loses her consciousness in exhilaration and ecstasy listening to the flute. So now she's thinking she's actually attracted to 2 different men. And then Vishaka brings her a beautiful painting of Krishna. And she looks at the painting of Krishna, and Krishna steps out of the painting and touches her. And Shri Radhika, she becomes completely bewildered, totally in this Divyan Mad, completely. Her moods are just so high. But then she begins to condemn herself, because now she thinks she's actually fallen in love with 3 men. She thinks, what sort of wife am I, dharmic wife? And I've fallen in love with. And she becomes very angry with Lalita and Vishaka in her bewilderment. And then they explain it's all the same person. But these moods and bhavs of Sri Radhika are so extraordinary, and they're bewildering her, because the extremity of these bhavs hasn't manifested before. They're achintya. They're inconceivable. They're just coming in her attraction to Krishna. And Krishna is the same. So how do they act with each other? They're actually so shy, they're overcome with shyness, because the strength of their attraction is so deep and thick that they're afraid to actually come in front of each other, because they know how strong is their attachment, their attraction. So without Lalita and Vishaka to make the arrangements to pull Radhika to Krishna, and without Madhu Mangal and Supal to assist, they will never meet. And without Vrindadevi arranging and Yogamaya making sure everything's okay, that Jatila doesn't suddenly crash in, although sometimes she does crash in, and Mukhara, etc., these different personalities, just to increase with the separation mood. But the whole dynamic of it is so utterly extraordinary. And Rupa Goswami, who's sitting next to Sri Radhika in his service, is able to put these mystical, magical words onto the pages of Vidagdha Madhav for our benefit in this age, to come closer and closer and closer to worshipping and serving Sri Radha. Radha Dasyam is our goal. This is our goal, this Prem Amal Seva. service to that divine couple through Radhika. That's our principle. That's how all our Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas have explained it. That's how Rupa Goswami has explained. That's how Sanatan Goswami has explained. Krishnadas Kaviraj has explained the same thing. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained the same thing. Baladev Vidyabhushan, and certainly Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All the acharyas have explained the same thing, that coming to the lotus feet of service to Sri Radhika is the high. When we say this verse, Anarpita Chirim Chirat Kurunavadita Nukula, Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvala Ras. That Unnata Ujvala Ras is for Mahaprabhu, for Krishna himself to taste. And he's come to give us this Swabhakti Shriyam, service to that Unnata Ujvala Ras. That's what he's come to give us, service to that pinnacle of devotion. So we have an extraordinary opportunity in this life. Absolutely inconceivable. We've been blessed with this. So Falshruti Ki Jai. So today we're going to start on chapter 8, Nitya Dharma and Vaishnava behavior. So this is a very pertinent chapter because all the way through up till now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has been dropping so many examples of Vaishnava behavior, because it's one thing to hear the philosophy and then to practicalize it in our daily lives. So without a sharp understanding of what is Vaishnava etiquette, how do Vaishnavas behave with each other, what is a Kanishta Vaishnava, what is a Madhyam Vaishnava, what is an Uttam Vaishnava, and how to understand who is who. Not that we're judgmental, but we should understand this in our dealings and relationship. If someone is Kanishta, then we're going to be very encouraging for them, compassionate. And if someone is a Madhyam, and we are also Madhyam, my Gurudev used to say, quickly come to the platform of Madhyam. Madhyam just means we understand who is Krishna, that he's not Parthasarthi on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, that he's either Dwarkadish, or he's Brajendra Nandan in Vrindavan, or he's Mathuresh Krishna. Understanding all these topics about Krishna will bring us to the Madhyam level. And then from the Madhyam level, we can progress from Madhyam Kanishta, Madhyam Madhyam, and Madhyam Uttam, 3 stages within each category, and then 3 stages of Uttam, Kanishta Uttam, Madhyam Uttam, and Uttam Uttam. So this is going to be explained in this chapter 8. So Nityadam and Vaishnava behavior. In a forest bordering the southeastern bank of the sacred pond known as Gaur Hrida, there were some Vaishnavas living in a secluded grove. Gaur Hrida, by the way, is just across the road. I was searching for it for quite a while previously, and I was in our local grocery store one day, and I met this like a gentleman, and I just asked him, "Where are you from?" And he said, "Oh, Gaur Hrida." I said, "Wow, where's that?" He said, "Oh, just around the corner." And it is. From here, it's about 2 kilometers. You can cycle there, less than 2 kilometers. It's a very nice walk. And it's just, you wouldn't spot it because it's just like a valley kind of thing. There's no sign there or anything. But that's actually where it is. That location is called Gorkhida. So it's there. This is what the devotees today is their duty, is to uncover all of the holy sites of Navadvip, because it's very covered. Vrindavan, everything is open and exposed. But here it's becoming opened. So we in our travels around should be hunting all the different places to expose them and to bring them to light for other Vaishnavas, like Radhakund, for example. If you go to Radhakund here on the way to Champahati, the people of Radhakund don't even know their place is called Radhakund. It's called Kobla, something like that. Completely different name. They have no idea. Even that ghat wasn't put in there until just a few years ago. And the 2 kunds are so huge and beautiful. So the devotees have some direct savor there to uncover those places. One afternoon, the Vaishnavas of that place invited the Vaishnavas of Godrum, because it's very close, it's about 2 kilometers, in Swananda Sugata Kunj, and here Surabhi Kunj, this is the Godrum Vaishnavas, to join them for afternoon prasad. After honoring Prasad, the Vaishnavas sat together in the grove. At that time, Lahari Mahashai sang a bhajan that awakened ecstatic love of Braj in everyone's heart. Gora, I won't sing it. Kata lila korile aikane, advaitadi bhakta sange, nichale evanes range, kalia damana sankirtan, ye hrida hoite prabhu, nistarele nakra prabhu, Krishna yena kalia damana. Oh, think of the many pastimes Gora performed here. He danced and sported in this forest grove in the company of Advaita and other Vaishnavas, just as Sri Krishna tamed Kaliya Naga. And our Prabhu delivered a crocodile from this pond with his Sankirtan, which became known as Kaliya Daman Sankirtan. So there was a crocodile there, and Mahaprabhu, he touched that crocodile with his foot. We have um, a representation of it on the wall down here in Surabhikunj. And that crocodile turned into a beautiful heavenly demigod and explained that he'd been cursed, etc. And then he went back to Swagaloka. So Mahaprabhu, he performed that incredible pastime just right here. When we're aware of the very presence of Mahaprabhu in these pastime places, then it just makes it so much more alive. And it's like we're sitting on the very edge of the razor, so to speak, bringing us into the kingdom of Mahaprabhu. Everything becomes very close, like you're visiting many of the holy places in Sringapali and um, uh, Shiva, Harihara Ketra, all these different places. This is very, very healthy and good for our bhajan. When the bhajan was over, the Vaishnavas began to discuss the unity of Gaur Lila and Krishna Lila. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Hladini Shakti Asmad Ekat Mahav. Radha and Krishna have become one as Mahaprabhu. So they're discussing the unity of Mahaprabhu. That means Radhika within the form as her bhav and complexion in the form of Sachinandan. While they were doing so, a few Vaishnavas from Baragachi arrived and offered Dandavat pranams, first to Gaurachrida and then to the Vaishnavas. The Vaishnavas in the grove offered suitable respects to the newcomers and seated them. In that splendid kunj was an ancient banyan tree, around whose base the Vaishnavas had constructed a circular mortared terrace. Everyone honored the tree as Nitai Vat, Nityananda Prabhu's banyan tree, for he would enjoy sitting beneath it. The Vaishnavas now sat beneath this Nitai Vat and began discussing spiritual matters. So all this is taking place about almost 400 years ago. So Mahaprabhu advented more than 500 years ago. So it's just after the departure of Mahaprabhu. So this is the time sequence where we are. A young, inquisitive Vaishnava in the group from Baragachi said very humbly, I would like to ask a question, and I will be most satisfied if one of you will please answer it. Haridas Babaji Mahashai, a resident of that secluded kunj, was a wise and deeply learned scholar. He was almost 100 years old. He had personally seen Nityananda Prabhu sitting beneath that banyan tree many years before, and his heart's desire was to depart from this world at this very spot. When he heard the youth's words, he said, My son, while Paramahamsa Babaji's entourage is sitting here, you need have no anxiety about receiving a reply to your question. The young Vaishnava from Baragachi then inquired very humbly, I understand that Vaishnava Dharma is eternal religion, and would like to know in detail how one who has taken shelter of Vaishnava Dharma should behave with others. Very beautiful. So we have our eternal spirit soul internally to unfold through our practice, but then how are we going to relate with other Vaishnavas around us? because that's a very internal, private, in a sense, consideration of your internal self-realized soul, your swarup. That's something that we consider while we're in our um, bhajan stage, that antardash it's called. But how to relate outside of that with other Vaishnavas is very important. Having heard the newcomer's question, Haridas Babaji Mahashai glanced over to Sri Vaishnavadas Babaji and said, Vaishnavadas, there is no scholar in Bengal at the present time who is equal to you, and you are also a superlative Vaishnava. You had the association of Sri Prakashananda Saraswati Goswami, and you have received instructions from Paramahamsa Babaji. You are a very fortunate recipient of Sriman Mahaprabhu's mercy, and you are therefore most fit to answer this question. Vaishnavadas Babaji Mahashai said humbly, O great soul, you have seen Sriman Nityananda Prabhu, who is an avatar of Baladev himself, and your instructions have enabled countless people to enter the spiritual path. I would deem it a great mercy if you will instruct us today. Already Bhaktivinoda Thakur is demonstrating the behavior between Vaishnavas just in these very few, all these little details. They're all aspects of Vaishnava behavior. All the other Vaishnavas agreed with Vaishnava Das Babaji. Seeing no other recourse, Babaji Mahashai finally relented. He offered Dandavat pranams to Sri Nityananda Prabhu at the foot of the banyan tree and began to speak. Yes, without our Mangalacharyan or our offering, that means we're not connecting with the Guru Vargya. Without that Mangalacharyan, then our words don't have any real authority or authenticity if we're not submissively connecting with these previous acharyas to begin. So always the Mangalacharyan is there. Babaji, I offer pranam to all the jivas of this world, considering them to be servants of Krishna. This means that he's practically or is on the Uttam platform. That's what it means. Everyone is a servant of Sri Krishna, although some accept this and some do not. That's a beautiful expression. I've used it many, many times. Everyone is a devotee of Krishna. Some know it and some don't, that's all. But all are devotees of Krishna. I even explained the other day how even if you go into the Brahman, still your effulgence is going to enhance Krishna's Brahmajyoti. Even in that condition, you're going to be serving Krishna. So all jivas are by nature servant of Krishna. Conclusively, they form one group. Another group consists of those who do not accept their natural identity as servants of Sri Krishna. Consequently, there are two kinds of people in this world: Krishna Bahirmukh, those who are diverted from Krishna, and Krishna Unmukh, those who are attentive to Krishna. Very simple. Most people in this world are diverted from Krishna and do not accept dharma. This is why they've come to this world. They've come because they distinctly wanted to be separate from Krishna. There is nothing much to say about the first group. They have no sense of what is to be done and what is not to be done, and their entire existence is based upon selfish happiness. People who accept some moral principles have a sense of duty. For them, the great Vaishnava, Manu, has written, Driti Shama Dharma Shreyam Socham Indriya Nigraha Dir Vidya Satyam Akrodo Dashakam Dharma Lakshanam. This is from the Manu Samhita. We mentioned this Manu Samhita previously in the last chapter also because so many instructions about grihastas. In the Manu Samhita in particular, that we have some English versions and you can see them, and it's very much concerned with the grihasta dharma. Translation: there are 10 characteristics of religious life. Driti, determination with patience. Shama, forgiveness, which means not retaliating when wronged by others. Dham, control of the mind, which means equanimity even in the face of unsettling circumstances. Ashteya, abstinence from theft. Socham, cleanliness, indriya nigraha, restraining the senses from their sense objects. D. Intelligence, which means knowledge of the Shastras. Vidya, wisdom, which means realization of the soul. Satya, truthfulness, and akrodha, absence of anger, as demonstrated by even temperedness amidst irritating circumstances. These 10 could be pulled out and enumerated. All these little things that we're sending on the WhatsApp, different verses and stuff, if you have the opportunity to print them out and just keep them in a folder, it's very, very helpful just to go back through them and see the compilation of all these different verses and uh, sayings like this from Jaiva Dharma. It's very helpful. 6 of these characteristics, determination, control of the mind, cleanliness, restraint of the senses, knowledge of the Shastras, and wisdom, are duties to one's own self. The remaining 4, forgiveness, abstinence from stealing, truthfulness, and absence of anger, are duty to others. These 10 religious duties have been prescribed for people in general, but none of them clearly indicate Hari Bhajan. It's like we're talking about Sharanagati also in the Gita. Sharanagati is the threshold of bhakti. Sharanagati, in the condition of Sharanagati, there's no sambandha with Krishna. You're surrendering to him, but you haven't created a relationship. There's no mamata. There's no sense of Krishna is mine. We haven't come to that place yet. It's just my body is submitting to Krishna's potency, but I haven't actually developed my relationship with him. Therefore, it's just the threshold of bhakti. So similarly here, it's saying a similar thing. These 10 religious duties have been prescribed for people in general, but none of them clearly indicate Hari Bhajan. Furthermore, one will not necessarily attain complete success in life simply by carrying out these duties faithfully. So we often see traditionally in religious groups, they try to be very chaste, they try to be very well behaved, all these things, but they're not actually connecting with the Supreme, are they? You know, in monasteries and so on, they take different vows, right, of humility, etc., but they don't have sufficient fund of knowledge to bring them to the personal form of Krishna. This is not propagated. Huh? Shantaras, yes. Neutral. It's neutrality. Like the soul itself has a relationship with the Jivatma as a witness, and it's neutral in the sense that it doesn't control in any way the Jivatma. The Jivatma has his own freedom, his own sovereignty, that the Supersoul has given to him like that. But this Shantaras is not to be pursued and followed. It's this neutral zone is not a healthy place to be, actually. Nothing's going on there. This is confirmed in the Vishnu Dharmatara Purana. Jivitam Vishnu Bhaktasya Varam Pancha Dinani Cha Natu Kalpa Sahasrani Bhakti Hinasya Keshave. Quoted from Hari Bhaktivilas 10.317. It is most auspicious to live in this world even for 5 days as a bhakta of Sri Vishnu, whereas it is not at all auspicious to live in this world for thousands of kalpas without bhakti for Sri Keshava. Beautiful, beautiful verse. A person bereft of Krishna bhakti is not fit to be called a human being. Therefore, Shastra counts such people among the two-legged animals. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.19 states, Svavid varohostra karai samstuta purusha pashu na yat karna patopetao jatu nam gada graraj. Only men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those who never hear the holy name of Krishna, the elder brother of Gada. If a person never allows Sri Krishna Nam to enter his ears, he is like an animal. In fact, he is more degraded than hogs that eat stool and other rejected substances. camels that wander in the desert of samsara, eating cactus, and asses that carry heavy loads for others and are always harassed by the she-ass. Wow, that's a lot of examples. Camels, hogs, what is it? She-ass. However, the question raised today was not about what such unfortunate people should not do. It was only about how those who have taken shelter of the path of bhakti should behave with others. In other words, he's laying a foundation of sambandha initially. Those who have adopted the path of bhakti may be divided into three categories. By the way, I'll explain afterwards about Krishna being the elder brother of Gada, because Gada is not a name for um, Baladev in this case, but I'll give you the explanation afterwards. um, where are we? Those who have adopted the path of bhakti may be divided into three categories: Kanishta, neophyte; Madhyam, intermediate; and Uttam, topmost. Kanishtas are those who have embarked upon the path of bhakti but are not yet true bhaktas. Their symptoms are described as follows: Acharyam eva haraye pujam ya shradayayate na tad bhakteshu chaneyashu sa bhakta prakrita smrita. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.47. One who faithfully worships the deity form of Sri Hari but does not render service to his bhaktas or other living entities is a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic follower. Thus it is established that Shraddha is the bij, or seed of bhakti. Only bhakti, one's bhakti is only effective when he worships Bhagavan with Shraddha, and it is still not Shuddha bhakti unless he worships the bhaktas as well, because that makes it personal. That means I'm acknowledging the servants of Lord Krishna. Bhakti does not develop thoroughly as long as he fails to do so. This type of bhakta has barely entered the doorway of the practice of bhakti. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84.13, Yasyatma buddhi kunepe tri dhatuke, swadi kala radeshu boma riya dri, yat tirtha buddhi shalile na kariche, karichi, janeshu abhineshu sa eva go karaha. One who considers this corpse-like body, comprised of the three elements, vata, pitta, and kapha, to be his real self, who regards his wife, children, and others as his very own, who considers mundane forms made of earth, stone, or wood to be worshipable, and who regards mere water to be a place of pilgrimage, but who does not consider the Bhagavat Bhaktas to be more dear than his very self, to be his very own, to be worshipable, and to be places of pilgrimage. Such a person, though human, is no better than an ass among animals. In other words, if you come to a holy place and you just take bath but without honoring the sadhus who live there, then you haven't recognized that holy place. That holy dham is reflected in the hearts of those pure sadhus who reside in those places, like in Radhakund or Shamakund, all the holy places of Vrindavan, Varshana, so many places, Govardhan. We should seek those sadhus who are carrying the truth of those places in their realized hearts. The purport of these two shlokas is that one cannot even approach the threshold of bhakti without worshipping Bhagavan in the form of the deity. If one rejects the deity form and resorts to logical debate alone to deduce the truth, his heart becomes dry and he cannot ascertain the true object of worship. In other words, the personal aspect. If you don't have the personal conception, then how can you expect to have a relationship with Krishna? Yet even when one accepts the deity, it is essential to serve him in transcendental consciousness, Shuddha Chinmoy Buddhi. In this world, the jivas are Chinmoy, Vastu, conscious entities, and among all the jivas, the bhaktas of Krishna are Shuddha Chinmoy, endowed with pure consciousness. Krishna and the bhaktas are both Shuddha Chinmoy Vastu, pure conscious entities, and in order to understand them, it is essential to have Sambandha Gyan, which is knowledge of the interrelationship between the material world, the jivas, and Krishna. This is exactly what we discussed at the very beginning of this class by Krishna's arrangement. We discussed exactly this topic about what is Sambandha Gyan and the Satchidananda manifestation of the jiva in the heart. If one is to worship the deity with Sambandha Gyan, then one must worship Krishna and serve the bhaktas at the same time. This type of adoration and respect for Chinmoy Tattva, the transcendental reality which is endowed with Shraddha, is known as Shastriya Shraddha, faith based on Shastra. We must have the Shastric injunctions to guide us. The ancient sages and rishis, they created the Shastric injunctions to support our journey to self-realization and to a transcendental conclusion. That's why they've created the various um, prohibitions and the various guidance of what we should do, how we should behave, etc. They've done it for our benefit. I know sometimes devotees, they become irritated even when they consider how many rules and regulations there are, but it's all for our own pure. Every single injunction of Shastra has a most sublime truth behind it. It's not just made up for some, you know, to put some weight on the devotee or something of that nature. It's all crafted very, very beautifully. Worship of the deity that lacks this unequivocal knowledge of the interrelationship between the different aspects of the transcendental reality is simply founded on lokik shraddha, customary or traditional regard. Lokik shraddha means worldly faith, not based on, there's no depth to it. Such customary worship of the deity is not Shuddha Bhakti, although it is the first step in approaching the entrance to Bhakti. That is the conclusion of Shastra. Those who have reached this threshold of Bhakti have been described as follows. Gita Vishnu Dikshako Vishnu Puja Paro Nara Vaishnavo Bihito Bijnai Itaro Shmad Avaishnavaha. Hari Bhakti Vilas 155. Learned scholars have determined that a Vaishnava is one who is initiated into a Vishnu mantra in accordance with the regulations of Shastra and who is engaged in the worship of Sri Vishnu. All others are known as non-Vaishnavas. So that's a very nice, clear um, description of who is a Vaishnava, one who worships the Vishnu mantra in accordance with the regulations of Shastra. In this age where we live, there's so much. I know when we were younger, this idea of just doing your own thing was very prominent amongst the youth of that I was associating with. Just just do it how you like it, do it my way. It's still like that. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But that place only leads to tragedy. It doesn't lead to any blissful conclusion. Whereas when we just give up that independent spirit of doing whatever we like in that regard, but try to follow carefully, becoming a disciple means you give your independence to Guru. That's actually what it means to become a disciple. It means you give your independence to Guru, your independence to wander here or wander there. This is what it really infers. How to give up my independence to Guru. Kanishta Vaishnavas or Prakrita Vaishnavas or those who accept a family priest out of hereditary tradition, or who are prompted by Lokik Shraddha, worldly faith, to imitate others by taking initiation into a Vishnu mantra and worshipping the deity of Sri Vishnu. Such materialistic devotees are not Shuddha Bhaktas, rather a shadow-like semblance of bhakti called Chaya Bhakti Abhas. Chaya means shadow. We'll come to this in chapter 24, 25, when in relationship to Nam. Chaya Bhakti Abhas is prominent in them. But a shadow, if it's a shadow is connected to the object. The opposite of Chaya is Pratibimba. Pratibimba means a reflection. There's Chaya Namabhas and Pratibimba Namabhas. If it's Pratibimba, it means it's just a reflection. It's not actually connected to the object. But if it's Chaya, it means it's actually connected to the object, and sooner or later it will become purified. So this Chaya Bhakti Abbas can become purified. However, they do not have Pratibimba Bhakti Abbas, which is a reflective semblance of bhakti. So this Pratibimba is the reflection, and that is not connected to the object. This Pratibimba Bhakti Abbas is offensive in nature and is devoid of Vaishnavism. The stage of Chaya Bhakti Abbas is the result of great fortune because it is the preliminary stage of bhakti, and people can gradually develop from it to Madhyam and Uttam Vaishnavas. You understand the distinction between the two? Pratibimba and Chaya. Pratibimba is being reflected. It's more or less like a Mayavad. It's like reflection. If you've got a tree beside a lake, and then you've got the shadow of the tree, the shadow is connected to the object, the tree, to Krishna. But if the tree is simply reflected in the lake, there's no real substantial connection with it. So it has it's like Mayavad. That's what Pratibimba means. And it's offensive. It's saying here clearly that Pratibimba concept, that reflective Mayavad conception. Yes, it's not connecting. But that's a different example, really. Yeah, that's another one. The tree is the better one. This Pratibimba Bhakti Abhas is offensive in nature and devoid of Vaishnavism. The stage of Chaya Bhakti Abhas is the result of great fortune because it is the preliminary stage of bhakti, and people can gradually develop from it to Madhyam and Uttam Vaishnavas. Still, those in the stage of bhakti of Chaya Bhakti Abhas cannot be called Shuddha Bhaktas. Such people worship the deity with Lokik Shraddha, worldly faith. They can only behave towards others according to the 10 types of religious duties that I've already described for people in general. This is from the Manu Samhita that he's referencing. By the way, all of these topics are very clearly delineated in Bhakti Tattva Vivek by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a very small, beautiful book about Shuddha Bhakti, and has 4 chapters describing the 4 lines of the verse Anya Bilasita Shunyam. That makes 1 chapter. And then each line represents another chapter. There's 4 chapters, and it explains clearly what is Shuddha Bhakti. And it's a small compilation. If you can get that book, we can post it on our WhatsApp thread, the digital copy. But this is really an excellent study to support what we're reading. They can only behave towards others according to the 10 types of religious duties that I've already described for people in general. The behavior that the Shastras prescribe for bhaktas does not apply to them, for they cannot even ascertain who is a true bhakta and who is not. The power to discriminate is a symptom of the Madhyam Vaishnava. That doesn't mean judging, it just means the power to discriminate. You should know who is a Kanishta, so you can bestow your mercy, and you should know who is a Madhyam, so you can befriend, and you have to know who is an Uttam, so you can offer your full respect. We have to know these symptoms. It's very important to know the different adhikars of the different devotees is very important. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.246 describes the behavior of a Madhyam Vaishnava as follows. Ishvare tad abhineshu balisheshu visheshtu cha prema maitri kripaksha ya karoti sa madhyamaha. A Madhyam Bhagavat is one who loves Ishvara, is friendly towards his bhaktas, shows mercy towards those who are ignorant of bhakti, and neglects those who are inimical to Ishvara or his bhaktas. He doesn't fight with them, he neglects them. The behavior being described here is classified in the realm of Nitya Dharma. But I am not referring here to Naimitic Dharma, temporary religious or worldly duties. The behavior that I am describing is part of Nitya Dharma, and it is essential in the life of a Vaishnava. Other types of behavior that are not opposed to this behavior may be accepted where necessary. So he's not going to describe those lower stages. He's bringing us to a point of Madhyam straight away, Madhyam consideration. A Vaishnava's behavior is directed towards four categories of individuals. 1. Ishvara, Supreme Lord. 2. Tad Adina, his bhaktas. Balish, materialistic people who are ignorant of spiritual truth. And Veshi, those who are opposed to bhakti. These four types of personality, we need to know, spot them. A Vaishnava shows love, friendship, mercy, and neglect, respectively, to these four kinds of individuals. In other words, he behaves lovingly towards Ishvara, with friendship towards the bhaktas, and mercifully towards the ignorant. He neglects those who are inimical. It's very clear? It's very clear. But we need to refresh regularly. 1. The first characteristic of a Madhyam Vaishnava is that he has prema for Sri Krishna. He is the Supreme Lord of all. Who is the Supreme Lord of all? The word prema here refers to Shuddha Bhakti, whose symptoms have been described as follows in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So we understand, as we've mentioned many times, the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita will bring us to the threshold of bhakti. They're not going to carry us into the full Madhyam conception. They're bringing us to the threshold. So we should appreciate that. Krishna is asking Arjuna to surrender, Sharanagati, that's the conclusion. So we should appreciate that. If someone walks around all day only speaking Bhagavad Gita but doesn't go further than that, then their education has become limited to some degree. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was so merciful. He gave us the Bhagavad Gita in every single line because that's what we needed. We've got to understand that we were in a very depleted condition, barbarians from the Western worlds, not even knowing how to eat, how to go to the bathroom, what to eat. We didn't know anything. Isn't it true? We just came out of the woods like tribals. So we were Kanishtas fully, and he was very mercifully guiding us through, especially according to the precepts of Bhagavad Gita. Precepts of Bhagavad Gita are sublime. But when you come to the Madhyam stage, you will see the excellence of bhakti within the Gita. But initially, we need those in the neophyte stage. We approach it differently. It's quite distinct. The kindergarten is quite distinct from the high school, which is quite distinct from the university, which is quite distinct from the post-university studies, right? They're all completely different categories of educational opportunities. So we have to see like that, clearly delineated in it's not all a big mishmash of just devotional service all one like that. It's quite distinctly step by step by step our progress. Anyavilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhakti uttama. Uttam bhakti is the consummate endeavor to serve Sri Krishna in a favorable mood. It is free from any other desire, and it is not covered by knowledge of impersonal Brahm, by the daily periodic duties outlined in the Smriti Shastras, or by renunciation, yoga, sankhya, and other types of dharma. So I think we've gone over our time here actually, but we'll continue tomorrow trying to understand who is a pure Vaishnava. This chapter is very remarkable. Later on, the young boy Nityananda wants to know his own adhikar, and we should also want to appreciate our own adhikars. Which level am I up to? We want to appreciate that, and not just out of blanket humility, oh, I'm the most fallen, but actually, my Gurudev used to say all the time, don't think you have no bhakti. If you have no bhakti, what sort of guru am I? That's what he'd tell us. If you don't think you have any bhakti, then what sort of guru have you got? If your guru hasn't given you any bhakti, of course you've got bhakti, but to what level of bhakti? So that we can strengthen our relationships with others who are on this path in a correct way, knowing who has and who hasn't got that. Always looking for that bhakti current, because that's what is going to nourish us. That's what we're searching for. Who are those people who have that bhakti current? We're hungry for that. Okay, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Gaura Haribol. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Haribol. Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Gaura Premanande, Hari Haribol. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavnibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.